Hi everybody, welcome to the 1.5 Academy info session. Today we'll be going through several sections of the 1.5 Academy such that you can understand whether this is a right program for you. We'll cover the business case, why is green upskilling really important today, what do we mean by future-proofing or even accelerating your career or organizations, what would be the outcomes of the program, what do you expect to achieve, whether it's through our program alumni to all the different ways that our alumni and community are applying their in-demand green skills. Then we'll actually go through the program itself, which is the overview of our hands-on tactical training driven by our practitioners here. Just like coders train coders in the early days, we are ourselves practitioners in the field and not only develop the content, but also run our labs. Then we'll cover admissions. How do you actually join? What are the profiles that we look for, the different payment plans and scholarships? And then finally, if you stay with us for the whole time, we'll also cover a little surprise on the info session perk and advice for your application and the key dates to remember that are upcoming. So let's hop into it. Okay, let's go through the business case. Why green upskilling today and how can you future-proof your career? Well, if you look at LinkedIn's latest data on the top growing in-demand jobs currently in the United States, within the top 10 is actually the sustainability specialist. And now this isn't just a US trend, but we're seeing this globally, where there are more and more people required to have green skills within a main and majority of roles. But as you can look at, the different pathways to getting to a sustainability specialist is not that linear. We have many different overlapping skills and a field that has exploded in the last few years, but maybe lacks taxonomy of how to then adopt and take these jobs, which are purpose-driven as well as having impact on climate. And so here are the trends in terms of what LinkedIn has talked about. There is a 2x growth in the demand for green talent versus the supply. And this is a global trend that we're seeing. In fact, if you look on the right-hand side, if we don't double our workforce in the climate by 2050, we are at risk of missing our net zero goal. So there's no better time than now to start to invest into green upskilling, not only to add these extra skills to your supply, that you can actually work within demand where jobs are. Furthermore, there are 60 top jobs that now require green skills, whether it's from the technology space, the information and media space, particularly driven by AI. And so what we mean by that is that there are a lot of job descriptions that now have at least one green skill written within their job description or required within the responsibilities that you need to do. So what do we talk about green skills? These are the skills that are required to actually have progressive action on climate. And if you don't believe all of that, the last statistic should bring it home, where getting one green skill or having a green skill in your artillery will actually increase your hiring rate by 55% globally. And even just in the US, it's more than 80%. And this is even in today's environment. And recently, we actually got featured on LinkedIn's 2024 Green Skills Report, which is a fantastic report if you want to get the latest on green skills, climate jobs, all of that. And in fact, one of our alumni was able to move from tech sales to climate tech sales by actually learning the hard skills that we trained them in within the academy. And what we did was apply coding academy type skills training, which are practitioner-led training, in getting people to actually practice the work such that it's not just knowledge and information, but it's practical skills that they can then use within their jobs, whether current or in the future. And so how do you do this though? And this is the problem that I faced when I myself did a master's in environmental management at Yale, and I learned less than 10% of the skills that I actually needed to do my job. Why is that the case? Well, a lot of the times academia is a bit too theoretical and outdated compared to, I guess, skills-based learning programs. Think about credentialized programs or industry-led training. They're kind of a bit more applicable, but may not have that kind of halo effect of working at or studying at a large institution. And unfortunately, online content is also very, very broad. It's not taught by practitioners. And we see a lot of other programs where they're kind of having to contract different instructors and the quality may not be the same. We all know that, say basketball, the best basketball players aren't necessarily the best coaches, right? And so we need to have people that can actually help to dissect this information that is constantly changing. And a lot of programs don't actually offer hands-on practice. Like if Udemy, Coursera were the right way for education to happen, they would have taken over the world. But we do need to come together to work on things just like we would in teams in a real work environment. So yes, content can be asynchronously provided, but we really need to grapple with the work at hand. You need to put it into practice. And so many professionals end up being left out of the climate workforce opportunities because of these limitations. And so that's why we built this OnePointFive Academy, actually based on over 100 net zero projects that we've done on our advisory side. And the irony behind it is that we found ourselves explaining more than 50% of our time how the work is done. And instead of just leaving it there, we're like, well, we're not going to get anywhere with net zero, and seeing this huge need for the future of the workforce to have green skills, we're like, why don't we actually combine our experience as practitioners who do this work, all the projects that we've done, and create a program that can guide individuals from start to end, including all the skill sets that they need to be able to drive net zero from start to end, whether in their own jobs, in an organization that they're working for, or externally as a contractor. And so that's what took us to work with LinkedIn. We ended up having a data partnership with them and built on their existing research. And what we ended up finding was that there are top 10 sustainability green skills that are sought by most organizations for anyone that's majoring in sustainability or climate. These are split between specialized technical skills, as you can see. They also include general business knowledge, and then finally, broad climate fluency. So it is kind of a flood of different types of skills that are needed at different levels. And so what we ended up doing was then map these skills that you need across the different weeks of our OnePointFive Academy. So through the 8-week experience, not only is the content taken from the real projects, and I think that's the one sweet spot of our content, is that you'll get a case study that we can tell you we actually worked on this and this is actually what happened after you do the lab, but we end up bringing in the industry speakers who've actually had to do that work in their own role. And so our job is to make sure that you can then map that experience that you have with the skills that are in demand, such that you can express them within your existing employers to future employers, or even within an organization that's trying to grapple with what does it mean to do sustainability? And as you can see, it's multidisciplinary across all the different 10 skills. And our team is here to support. I mean, at the end of the day, our team is working half of their time on the advisory work, if not the majority of it, but we also come in and develop content that's fresh. We are updating our content every single 4 months. Why? This field is changing so quickly. And so we need to have updated content in a simple way to understand, such that a greenhouse gas accounting, measuring your emissions for an organization, say a few months ago, might be different with a new release of the standard. You have to be able to update yourself really quickly and be able to work with a team and a movement, including our Academy community, which is over 900 strong across 55 countries, to be able to get the work done. So we are here to guide you not only through this 8-week experience, but give you a lifelong professional network for life where we can all work on this work together. Now, you might be asking, why would a sustainability advisory be providing an academy? Isn't that building up your own competition? I disagree. We really need to rise the sea level of all competency and understanding of science-based targets to net zero start to end. Otherwise, we won't have a world to live with. A true sustainability professional, or one that has sustainability at their heart, should really be a person that's willing to share, really knowing that what we should be doing is the hard stuff, the stuff that is only uniquely our expertise. Yet we are stuck in this world where a lot of the basics and the foundational skills are just not being shown because people are holding it close to their chest. And so we really want to make the secret sauce not secret sauce by just really opening it up to a full global community and making green skills accessible. And more than 900 people have joined us on this journey. You are not alone, and we have now 55 countries, if not more, represented across the globe. And we've had expert industry insights, and these are libraries of recordings that you have access to for life throughout our community platform. Everyone from the global head of sustainability reporting from Google, the standard setters from the GHG protocol, heads of sustainability from Meta, even the former CSO of Starbucks, head of product sustainability at New Balance, you name it. We've had so many different speakers contribute their expertise, which allows us to then hear from industry experts, but also network with those that are hiring for their teams, if not mobilizing sustainability professionals to do much, much more than what we have been doing in society. So with that, hopefully that explains the business case of why OnePointFive Academy. So what are the outcomes of our community members? Well, we're really excited to share because The cool thing about having more than 900 people in 55 countries is that we get a lot of stories about how our program alumni are now mastering, if not applying, their green skills. And this might inspire you about the types of ways that you can apply green skills in your current, if not future career. Now, the first thing to note is a really surprising statistic that we're really proud of is that every single OPF Academy graduate that's taken our survey before the course to after the course have expressed almost a 2x growth in confidence to advise in some of the most technical spaces and areas of net zero start to end. Not only from strategy, decarbonization, but also greenhouse gas accounting, life cycle analysis, and even reporting disclosures and regulatory frameworks, which are rapidly changing even in recent years. And our alumni outcomes have highlighted several different pathways, and these are only just scratching the surface of all the outcomes that we've achieved with our community, but it hopefully gives you some inspiration about how you can master these skills, why you should invest in these skills, and what it could lead to. So number one, you had Fong, who got a job securing their sustainability professional role. We even have Jennifer, who transitioned into a company sustainability team from another area. We had Matthew, who used their skills from a functional expertise standpoint to then land a climate role. We have sustainability managers that then use their skills to upskill and then get further. And then we even have those that have launched their own consultancy and freelancing. So the question to you as you hear out all these different stories is, what kind of outcome do you want to see that you think you can use by mastering green skills? So with Fong, he can sort of see that she actually came from a science background, had different skill sets across IT to HR, and was able to use our skill sets to get through these interview rounds that she wasn't able to before. Basically, at the end of the day, when you're at those interview rounds for sustainability type roles, a question that you might most likely get is, have you had familiarity with, or have you done, say, a greenhouse gas accounting report? Like, just insert blank. And a lot of the times you might not be able to have that because if you don't have exposure to a real model and you've just like watched the video or you haven't even had exposure to it, it's kind of like a no. But in this case, Fong was able to say, yes, actually, I did a greenhouse gas accounting model. Here it is, the one that I did in the OPFA lab. And then it gave confidence for Ferreira to then hire her, take on her overlapping skills for then her to be a sustainability analyst. Then you had Jennifer, who was a flight crew member at JetBlue. Mind you, she was trying to get roles in sustainability and hadn't thought about maybe looking in-house. And even when she did look in-house, she was overlooked at for external hires. But I can tell you that so many organizations having the in-house expertise of what that organization represents is so important that if you layer on green skills, you should be a no-brainer hire in the lateral way. And so she took our course and then was able to apply internally to the sustainability team and secure a role within JetBlue. Like, talk about lateral movements, which are awesome. Imagine not having to quit your job, but then moving into the sustainability team. Then furthermore, we had Matthew, who actually worked as a cost engineer at Nike. And you're like, well, Nike has sustainability. Why didn't he go that route? Well, Matt is just a very good cost engineer. And so he took our course and then got a cost engineer job at a renewable energy company. And this is something we're definitely seeing in recent trends where functional zones of genius, meaning functional skills, upskilling with green skills, just as we saw in that earlier statistic, is actually a really powerful way to future-proof your career, but actually add purpose, if not within your current role, by doing, say, cost engineering work with sustainability integrated within Nike, or shifting to another role that is even more climate-focused as an organization. Then we have Sarah, who then initially was a sustainability manager. And you'd be like, why would a sustainability manager take our course? Well, as I said, sustainability skills are so vast and they are changing so rapidly. And a lot of the times, many sustainability managers don't have all the skill sets or don't have the full view from start to end. And so she was tasked with so many different informational bits, responsibilities to get work done. But by actually doing our program, she was able to fill those sustainability gaps and in fact, be able to progress even further into a career by taking on those responsibilities, getting the work done with confidence, and then being able to progress within an organization to take on more roles throughout her career. And this is very common. We actually have sustainability managers from Amazon to L'Oreal who come in and take our programming. Why? Because not everyone has all the skill sets. And that's the beauty of it, that also can become your network of existing people within the field, progressing even further with the work that they've done. And then finally, yes, we will always need people to bring in their skill sets from non-sustainability backgrounds and go out there and be more external capacity and expertise for organizations. Just like we go out there and we advise and we contract our services to organizations, that's going to be required. So if you're a freelancer or you're thinking about launching your own shop or wanting to go into consulting, there are many, many people within our community who also do the same. And that's a cool way because you might find someone that can work on a project with you, or even your next hire or your next contractor. The whole point is that our community supports one another throughout life. And so what does this mean? Well, if all else fails, jobs, jobs, jobs. Like, we know that there are climate jobs out there and they're not going away. The crisis is continuing to happen and we need people to be able to be in these roles. And we've had fantastic success across consultancies, the private sector, the public sector, even the climate tech startup sector. So there is a role for you. And finally, I would say that the one thing we love to have is industry-leading carbon tools or softwares that we can use within the academy. Like, why would you do a program that wasn't using the tools that you'll be using in industry? And that's why I'm so excited we have a long-term partnership with Change Climate Project and their B tool, which we actually use as a software-enabled tool for greenhouse gas accounting. And we've been able to sign up for a partnership that allows you to have a 6-month educational license to this GHG accounting software that's commercially valued at more than $3,000. And that's uniquely for our community so that not only can you practice and build a greenhouse gas accounting model within our labs, but utilize it with other use cases. And that is the super exciting part because a lot of our work is going to be tech enabled into the future. So hopefully that covers a lot of the potential outcomes of the program that you can achieve, hopefully through the 1.5 Academy. So what about the program? Well, I'm going to cover the overview of our program, the tactical training, the industry experts, and even the community benefits that you should expect. Well, if you didn't know, one of our early advisors for the 1.5 Academy was actually Seth Godin. If you don't know who he is, I don't know what world you're living in, but definitely look him up. He has huge amounts of books and bestsellers out there. But the one thing that he told us, he's very, very passionate about the future of learning, and he launched what was the Alt MBA a few years ago, which was an alternate MBA program based on online cohort-based experiences, which almost we kind of got inspired to do the Alt Climate MBA, which we believe 1.5 Academy can be, to take on his best learnings. And with that, we came up with this 4-step approach for the Academy that really aligns with real-world career success and how the real world actually works. So first and foremost, we have modular learning, which is being able to study at your own pace. These 3 to 8 minute videos that are very masterclass style, very engaging, very simple, breaking down information bit by bit that you can do in your own pace. But then we have practical labs, which are applying your skills. And we know that more than 80% of learning is done when you actually do the knowledge, not just when you watch or listen or read the knowledge. And so our practical labs are run live. And even if you're not able to make it live, we have asynchronous versions of it such that you can not only ask questions, really break out into groups, do them solo, but even have deep dives with instructors like myself to really ask the sticky questions like, what if this happened, but what about this? And then we also have industry speakers every single week that then cover that particular topic. So imagine you learned greenhouse gas accounting in the modular learning component. We built a lab or built a model for greenhouse gas accounting for scope 1, 2, 3 using the B tool. Then imagine if you brought in an industry person who had actually had to not only measure, but reduce greenhouse gas accounting. And not only this individual having the experience of saying, well, this was a bit tricky with scope 2, this was tricky with scope 3, but also being able to say, well, this is what I'm looking for sustainability professionals in my team. These are the skills that I believe I wish I had, that you can get the inside of you, but also a network. And that, talking about network, the community itself, which is being able to network with more than 900 people in 50 countries. We have an online platform that you can connect directly with folk. We now have more than 2 years worth of community members. And as we build up more and more volume, there's also time-bound steps of which people get into these roles. Then they become managers, then they share information back into the community. And through this whole process and this 4-step process, we've had more than 100% of our community achieve 2x growth in their confidence to advise. We've seen a net promoter score of over 70, and a lot of people achieve their outcomes in a very small period of time. Now, if we go through this, the first point is the modular learning. We have spent amount a huge amount of time, not only one, presenting this content to more than 7,500 learners across the world in live sessions, but we've now been able to take on that feedback and record these really engaging 3 to 8 minute videos that allow you to engage in content on demand. So imagine if you can watch these videos at 2x speed, half speed, look at transcripts, look at the slides, and even prompt the different content that we have to get the information that you need. That is key to your learning. We'll also have test your knowledge. It's not about memorizing information, but making sure that you're also listening and interpreting the information and just not letting it get through your head. And then we also have live learning support. We have TAs that are constantly monitoring these question threads across the different topic areas, but we also have peer-to-peer learning, as well as even live learning to deep learning. So we give so many different avenues for you to really hone in your skills, ask the questions, and really get that knowledge embedded. And you don't have to hear it from us, but from our community members who have really appreciated the breaking down of this curriculum. We really think that we have a zone of genius to make these things make sense. I think it's very difficult when sustainability is so jargon driven. I think there is a pleasure that we take to just make things make sense and hopefully be entertaining along the way. And so I hope that you can see this. We've even had people that have built other micro certificates in leading universities having come and taken our course and be really blown away. And I really hope that you give us the opportunity to show you. Furthermore, we also have these practical labs where we have sanitized a lot of our 100 net zero projects into these lab style practical learning opportunities where you come in to a live experience over a 2-hour period for a module where we do present a lab that's been sanitized, of which you then go out into breakout rooms and we split normally part by part, where you do each component, we come back and we discuss it. You can talk to teaching assistants, to your other community members, and then we go through and use tools, if possible, that are used in industry so that you're trained on it to be able to come out with some output. And the cool thing is that each practical lab is basically a case study for you. It is an output. It is a proof point on your CVs. It is a proof of a green skill that you have that should really drive not only your confidence in, oh, I understand the difficulties of doing this, but also that you know and have an example of which you can showcase. And that is then sandwiched with these industry speakers. So as I mentioned, Seth Godin, he came in and spoke with us, but we've also had some phenomenal people. Not only Vincent Stanley from Patagonia, Marco Cabori from Starbucks, Liz from Nordstrom, Zakia from ISO. We have had so many people contribute their expertise. And I think, in fact, not even only 40 plus, but I think we have 50 plus industry speakers now, of which we have a database of like hourly conversations and fireside chats with these industry experts sharing their insights. And we give these AI summaries of all the takeaways such that you can even look at our full entire library for the last 2 years, especially with organizations that you might be interested to work with. Then we have our industry speakers where they're not only live, right? We have live sessions for each different modules, but as I sort of mentioned, we've also recorded a lot of our speakers. And so you can look at this in your own time, but the key thing is to join live so that you can not only hear from these industry speakers that are facilitated by our instructors, but also to get live Q&A with these industry speakers. Like I highly, highly recommend. If anything, regardless of whether you're already in the sustainability or climate field, my number one piece of advice is to show up to events where you can get a closed small group with a decision maker or even a hirer to be able to listen to them intently and basically write them a LinkedIn message to connect with them, ask for their email, and actually respond to what they're saying. These are where connections are made, where trust is built, where people end up doing work together. Like we are a very community-driven movement with climate, and it is in your own best interest to be able to connect with these people, and the best way to do it is when you have an intimate session with them. And so that's what we always love to do, and get insights directly from the latest. And we love facilitating these because we get to ask the hard questions. In 2025, what are the problems that you are facing today? What would need to hold true for the solutions to happen? It makes us all get smarter about climate and what action looks like today. And then finally, we have this platform, the same platform that you do the learning, get the practical labs, watch the industry speakers. It's all one learning and community platform that also allows you to access our full members list. We have more than 900 members across 55 countries. There's also alumni perks that we have curated from different organizations that you have unique access to. And most excitingly, we have just signed on an AI-enabled curated networking software that actually gives you one-on-one connections with OPF community members driven by AI. And so imagine if you can know who you're meeting up with and for us to sift through that 900-person list for you and give you weekly one-on-one connections. That is what's possible, and we'll be offering this up to our full community very, very, very soon. So really excited by that. So if anything, just joining our Global Sustainability Professionals Network should just be value in itself. Like, we're so excited to have people who are cut from the same cloth, but are so diverse from around the world, whether it's our team that's diverse or just the fact that climate is impacting us all diversely. It is key that we have a diverse community within our network, that we can't just work within the ranges of our own local cities, but we also understand what is happening in India, what's happening in Latin America or Africa or Australia or Europe. And this is why we're excited, because if you look at it, we have a whole spread and we're growing pretty rapidly and have so many people from different backgrounds, and really excitingly, more people that are diverse, even female identifying. And so in terms of the program, we try to make it as effective and efficient as possible so that it caters towards people who have full-time jobs, maybe are full-time parents, or are between jobs right now. So we really try to keep our live sessions to around 5 hours of live sessions weekly. Mind you, every single session is recorded, so you can watch it in your own time if either the time zone doesn't make sense or otherwise. We're working also to try to extend different live sessions to really adopt to different time zones, as obviously we want to be equitable. Then you have about 2 to 3 hours of your own content that you should reserve time for. And the cool thing is that it can be done anytime. You can do it on the weekends, the mornings, you can even do it during your day. So we've really spent a lot of time to really make these self-paced modules very doable within the schedules that you have. And again, you don't have to have FOMO, right? All sessions are recorded. Yes, you have to get through the content, the majority of it, for you to really get the output of the full program, and also for the completion certificate, so that we can honor the fact that our graduate alumni really understand these skills. But the whole key is leveraging this live cohort experience. There is a reason why digital learning alone has not really changed the entire world. If we actually work together, just like we love to dance, we love to listen to music together, human beings are very much live people, right? And so in some senses, that real world experience is really exciting for us. So really joining these things, if possible, are key. And in everything, just within 2 months, even though this sounds like a lot, we spread it out enough that you're going through over 30 hours of modular content, and you're getting more than a full day, if you didn't sleep at all, of actual practice on green skills. And that's like phenomenal, because it took me years. I didn't even get that opportunity to do that at Yale through a full year. So in some senses, it's got a lot packed within it, but we try to spread it so we give you a lot of time. And so with that, we understand that it takes time to get onboarded. So we do onboarding, we help you get onto the platform, we introduce you to the community, we set up networking, and then we split each of the weeks of content into halves. So there is 1, 2, 3, then we have a break week, there's 4, 5, 6, and then we have a graduation week. And we always love to bring some of our biggest key speakers in those areas, whether they're the co-founder of Patagonia, CSO of Starbucks, head of sustainability from HSBC, whatnot. We try to make this a super great experience. So you'll be able to catch up through this time, and you also have time after the program to complete if you do fall behind. And at the key point of 1.5, it is breaking it down from the approach of the 1.5 pathway that we created, which is what is the step-by-step to take an organization to decarbonize and also gain sustainable growth within their organization. So step-by-step, what would you be learning? Well, week 1 is around learn and commit. It's about understanding net zero, the science behind it, the barriers to global consensus, and what sustainability professionals really need to understand and set a science-based target, particularly even including within the climate justice side. Then we go into greenhouse gas accounting and really understand what scope 1, 2, and 3 emissions are. What are they? Well, we'll talk about it in the course. A lot of the times it is a standardized, just like we have with financial accounting. We also want to be able to compare different organizations' emissions level. If you can't measure it or reduce it, then what are we really doing? And so the Greenhouse Gas Protocol has set this huge document and standard that actually guides us step by step, which we break down with examples to then build a greenhouse gas accounting model for every organization to set a science-based target. Then following this, we do product level emissions. Now these are when you see carbon labels, what does that actually mean? Well, we need to look at circularity as well. So we look at the 5 different stages of raw materials, manufacturing, distribution, the use phase and end of life, and create what we call life cycle assessment models, which really look at the environmental impacts, even beyond carbon dioxide to even ecotoxicity of different supply chains and products. Then after that, we go into the climate reporting and disclosures, which are key. I mean, they're absolutely going wild. Everything from IFRS, CSRD, the California regulations, SASB, TCFD, TNFD, GRI. We call it the alphabet soup of sustainability reporting and standard. We've kind of done this to ourselves, but in a lot of senses, they aren't that difficult if you break them down. And so we spent huge amounts of hours just breaking down these driver trees and these different visuals to break it down step by step. So if you're an organization in this jurisdiction, if you're a private or public organization, if you have this amount of revenue versus this amount of revenue, what does it look like to actually report and disclose on climate, and which standards and frameworks actually make sense? So this course is one of the ones that we always update because every couple of months things change, but it's extremely important because if you can't report it and you don't disclose it, then none of the work gets done. And so we're really excited to be able to share that, also including physical and transition risks, which are key to the impacts of climate change that we're facing. Then we go into invest and reduce, which is around decarbonization. We cover this thing called marginal abatement cost curves, or in a fancy term, just basically combine financial modeling with environmental modeling. Like we need to be able to build how do we decarbonize based on our emission hotspots, but how much money does it take to actually invest? How much money do we get back? And how much of the environmental benefits are we achieving through those investments? And this is a great way to not only prioritize initiatives, but for an organization to actually drive sustainability into the business strategy and operations and financial decision making, of which we'll show you how to do. And then finally, we go beyond net zero, which is really understanding the sustainability professional trends, the workforce pathways, and even breaking down a sustainability project from start to end. Now, why is that important? Well, most sustainability projects are step by step. You will normally do a greenhouse gas accounting report. You do a sustainability report. So being able to understand project management, step-by-step best practices from start to end, even how to set up and scope a project, to building a proposal, whether it's internally for sustainability, to knowing what skills it takes to manage a team and get it from start to end is absolutely key. And so it really is our pleasure as people who do advisory day to day to be able to share a secret sauce of just how do you get stuff done efficiently and effectively. And with all of that done, this is what you get, a completion certificate that is a one-click credential onto LinkedIn. And LinkedIn Green Skills Report mentioned us. In a lot of senses, it comes with a lot of credibility, and especially with more than 900 people who've taken the course. Really hope that this helps you to label all the skills in your digital CV, if not your physical CVs, but allow you to really stand out amongst your peers for really investing into your green skills. And so with that, just a reminder, each of these weeks and each of these modules have been set up very key for you to be able to get all the skill sets such that you can be the top sustainability person that you know in your own little small circles. So with that, I hope you really understand a lot of the program and that answers a lot of your questions. Emissions. So how do you join? What is the typical profile that we look for? What are the payment plans or even the scholarships that are available? All these things are going to be answered right now. So first and foremost, you can go directly onto our website today, opf.degree/enroll-now, or even opf.degree/academy, or use that QR code. You can apply today, immediately, if you believe that this is something that is valuable for you. And an incentive, if you do, I'll share with you, you'll get a Net Zero 101 as well. We have different payment plans, and we always want to make these skills accessible. So one, definitely jump on, put in your details, and be able to get the application. If you need a needs-based or merit-based scholarship, we have several. We have a Global South Scholar because we want to make sure that skills are accessible to those that aren't just in the Global North, those that are impacted by climate in the worst sense. We also want Career Catalyst Scholars. We know that there are people who are recently unemployed, even students or recent graduates that may not have all the funds. We also have a climate leadership scholar, which is nonprofit employees, startup founders, or if you really feel that you have limited funds, but this program could make the outstanding opportunity that you need to be able to apply your skills. Now, scholarships are limited, so your best guess is to put in a scholarship application today, even if you have the slight chance that you think you fit into them, because we have different priority rounds that throughout the time we fill these slots for each cohort. And mind you, these upcoming cohorts do fill up quickly, so do submit your application. And just to give you some kind of a sense of putting in the time for this, we have given more than $600,000 in scholarships. We really truly believe in accessible green skills, affordable and relatable to what you are and where you are in terms of your position. So please apply for them and apply before priority rounds to get your slot. And so in some senses, if you do have that needs or merit-based scholarships that you qualify for these different categories, then you can submit it. Hop onto opf.degree/scholarships, fill out your form. Don't overthink it, just put it in, be authentic. We really want people who are driven to want to do climate, want to master their skills, are willing to put in the time, but also willing to apply their skills and to be able to allow other people to learn from them, if not learning from others. We love a giving network. And if all else fails, even if you click into an application, you start one today, whether it is enrolling today, submitting an application, or applying for a scholarship, we're going to give you a Net Zero 101, which is a mini version of the 1.5 Academy, where you'll be able to hop in to the platform, watch a couple of videos, get a whole slide deck that you could download today to already get started even before the program starts. And this is only for people who actually click and submit. So really write these forms into your task list. These are valued at more than $295. We have just made it completely for free because we really want to make sure that this skill for people who are willing to put the time into it is free, if not fully accessible for you. So this Net Zero 101 is a no-brainer, an incentive just to apply today. And in terms of the typical profile, we have many people with different years of experience, from 2 to 10. And in a lot of senses, you'll be able to find the people who are fitting within your work experience. Yes, we do bring in students sometimes, but we are kind of leaning towards more of a professional network. So yes, if you are still a student and you really are professionally driven, do apply for us, but also know that you're also going to get networks with people with more than 20 years of experience. And I think it's really that diversity of work experience that really allows us to understand different stages of work and different stages of sustainability. Additionally, these are the top 4 professional goals that people come to. Yes, a lot of people are looking for climate jobs, and that will continue to happen, and we've helped a lot of people do that. But other people are also looking to upskill within their existing roles, skill up to then move into a new role, to even starting their own independent gig. So in a lot of senses, the cool thing is that there's diversity, and you want people who are already in roles, not people that are just looking for roles, so that each other can support one another, even from a non-climate to a climate level. And so with all that, just remember that this 4-step process is possible because the program has been curated in this way. I really hope that you're bought into this idea of modular learning, practical labs, industry speakers, community, and micro-credentials that really are driving green skills. This is the program I really wish existed before I did the Yale Master of Environmental Management and spent a lot of dollars in a program that, yes, was a wonderful experience, but was a huge opportunity cost and actually gave me less than 10% of the skills that I need. We really hope that this practitioner-driven course will give you what you need. And so really apply today. There's no brainer. We have other cohorts as well. So if the timing doesn't work, you can put yourself on the wait list. And we're really excited to answer all the questions that you still have. So if you're watching to this point, we have a surprise perk for you. Thank you for, first of all, watching all the different videos. It goes through a lot, and there's a lot more information on our Academy page. But we would love to hear from you. So if you've watched this entire info session, you can actually use OPF10-info in your application today. If you go onto opf.degree/academy, click Start Learning Now, and fill in this code, we will actually provide you with $200 off your tuition. And this is just because we really want to see people who are invested into understanding the program, really understanding what we're about, and to really reward those people who really lean in. Our whole community is a leaning in community, not a leaning out. Now, this code is applicable for a limited time only, so really it's first come, first serve. Use it now so at least you can get into the application process. And we're really excited for you to meet other people who are supporting the application process, including Denise and Lara, who you'll be hearing from. And for this coming cohort in the summer, we have a final due date, but all the due dates are up to date onto our website. So with that, can't wait to hear from you and hope to see you soon.